All right, welcome to our team call for August 12th. Before I dig into our content, do we have, well, I want to welcome Robin. Robin is new coach as of, I forget, I think it was yesterday. Like my days are all blending. Robin has been kicking ass in our MBF group, and she has like totally immersed herself in this personal development that we've been doing in our challenge group. And it's been so cool to like watch her, just like her energy and her mindset and her confidence transform. So she is diving in as a brand new coach, and it's so awesome to have her on.
Yay! I seen you in the MBF group coaching better than me. So well done. Good work. Welcome.
Does anybody have any recognition or anything they want to shout out before we kick off? Okay, I have to celebrate Elsa. Poor Elsa is always sleeping when we have team calls because she's over in the UK. But Elsa is the newest diamond coach on our team. And she's kind of like, I don't know how to say, like a silent like speed demon over there, because you don't always like see her in the team page, and you kind of like, she's like sneaky. But she has been doing so amazing just with her own journey. She finished 80-Day Obsession. She was a nurse practitioner. They moved overseas as a military family. She is a mom of 4 boys, and I'm just like in constant awe of like how she does it all. But I wanted to shout her out for a huge congrats of being our newest diamond coach, and she'll get to watch this whenever she sees the replay. So we can do a round of applause for her.
Yay, Elsa! And to piggyback on that, Amanda, who's hiding in a black screen under the alias Avery, she is also a diamond coach. So congratulations, Amanda. I know Alicia's not on right now. I didn't mean to steal her thunder. I did not see her on. So Amanda is one of the coaches on Alicia's team, and she has been consistent as heck. And it just kind of happened naturally, and she was so comfortable doing it, and she's just going to keep on soaring. So congrats, Amanda.
Yes,
whoop, whoop.
That's Amanda.
And Elsa. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you.
So exciting. I think that there's going to be lots of fun announcements to come in the next month. I'm just throwing that out there. There's going to be lots more celebrations to come, but
I got one more while we're shouting people out. I already did it in the team page, but Emily is on the call, and her coach Tara are leading the Success Club boards right now. Brand new coaches. Tara's results you may have seen in the team page. She slayed 80-Day Obsession, 29 pounds down. And the two of them have this wellness group together, and they're just soaring and helping a ton of people, and the energy is through the roof, and they are crushing it. So keep an eye on those girls.
Hell yeah.
Hey, I'm late to the call. I'm sorry. Can I shout someone out real quick?
Yep.
So Melissa is on the call. She's a brand new coach. She just had SC4, and she's halfway to Emerald.
Hell yeah. Hey, Melissa. Hey, girl. Hey. We can't see you.
Video on. I think she has pretty bad internet service in rural Vermont, but
yeah. Thank you.
So cool that I saw in your introduction that your husband's a dairy farmer. I had no clue. That's so cool.
And also, this is Melissa. Can I tell them the little other funny thing about your husband?
Yeah, go ahead.
Her husband was my very first boyfriend in 7th grade or 8th grade. I don't know. And his name is Tucker, which is funny because my son's name is Tucker. So
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's super
she
funny.
married my first boyfriend.
I love that.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. Well, congrats everyone, and welcome to the team, new coaches. I'm really excited for tonight. I know Annalisa has been over there kind of drowning in the moving and unpacking and all that good stuff. So I kind of decided to take the lead tonight and share. So a couple months ago, I was talking to Catherine Reuter, which I'm sure a lot of you know, but she was part of the Difference Maker Move call from a couple weeks ago. She started 2 months after I did, and we kind of both like built businesses really fast. And then she also went through a lot of really tough life challenges. And in the last couple months, I was like watching Kathy, and I'm like, Kathy, what are you doing? Like, you're on fire. Like, I'm in her team page. So like, I see all these new coaches in there and all this energy and like, so I reached out to her and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, have you like revamped things or like what shifted for you? And she expressed to me that she had joined this Bob Helig training. And I know a lot of you probably are familiar with that name because I share his podcast on our team page. I can't even think of the name right now. I'm drawing a blank. But the Bob Helig podcast, I post a lot of them. Oh, the virtual upline. Yes. He has really, really amazing content. Just like incredible resource for network marketing people that want to be professionals in the network marketing field. Anything you can think of, from recruiting to duplication to your mindset to any of that. And I am a huge fan of his podcast. So she had told me that she invested in a leadership course with him. And I actually this year had been thinking that I wanted to invest in some type of like leadership seminar of some sort, because although we have incredible resources within Beachbody and at our events, I also feel like there comes a point in time, like I've been a coach for 6.5 years now. And I'm like, I kept thinking of that quote, what got you here won't get you there. What got you here won't get you there. So like whatever it is that got you to where you are in your business right now is not gonna be what gets you to the next level, right? There has to be some type of personal growth that happens or some type of shift. And that's kind of how I was feeling. So I decided to just dive all in with this course. And it's been really awesome. And it's a different topic every single month. So I'm going to try and bring some of that content to you guys and do some of the exercises with you. And so this topic was really, really impactful because it's called Freeing Yourself from Your Past. And so obviously it comes with like a bunch of the training videos that you watch, and we can't do that, but I'm going to go through the actual exercises of it with you. And for those of you that are in the Diamond Dash, can you raise your hand if you saw the call that Keith Callahan did about, like the inner work and like rewriting those subconscious beliefs and like healing your inner child and all that kind of stuff. And you might be like, what the hell does this have to do with business, right? But a lot of that stuff, like I'm coming to find that inner work is the most transformative work, because what holds us back from getting to the next level in our businesses or in our lives or in our incomes or in our relationships is our own inner stuff, right? It is the stuff we have not healed, the stuff we have chosen not to look at, the things that we don't want to face, the things that make us like squirm and uncomfortable. And I loved it so much because this topic went right along with a lot of what Keith was talking about. So I'm going to go through the first two exercises with you guys, and then I'm just going to explain the next two exercises to you so that you can take some time when you have some quiet and you can sit down and do them on your own. But one of them is more so like once you identify what these voices are, then you're kind of like keeping track over the next week or so of when they come up for you so that you can learn how to shift out of them. So this more specifically, this first exercise is really about identifying your inner voices. So raise your hand. I'm going to assume this is everybody. If you ever like sit down to do invites and you're like, everybody's going to say no to me, or like, I'm not as capable as she is, or like you see somebody crushing it and they're at the top of the Success Club board and you're like, I can never do what she does. Or you see somebody that makes this like really amazing post and you're like, I wish I had confidence like that, right? This is all our inner voice. And this exercise was so powerful because what it basically prompts you to understand is that, number one, we have to allow ourselves to feel all our emotions if we want to be able to work through them. But number two is what he talks about is sub-personalities. So we all have these sub-personalities. Then he says they're a lot like children. They need and demand and often insist on getting their own way at all costs. And that's that like little inner voice that pops up when you're about to do something that's scary or outside your comfort zone or that's telling you you're not good enough. And once you do this exercise and you start identifying these sub-personalities, it's so cool because like ever since I did this a couple weeks ago, I'm starting to like have that thought come up or that feeling come up, and I'm able to be like, oh, that's my inner child and she's really scared right now, or like that's my inner critic. And once you identify these, it kind of helps you separate them from your most authentic self. Does that make sense? Because these are just like voices and stories that are going on. They're not like the real you. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you really quickly. He says, have you ever had an experience where you said something and then thought to yourself, I don't know where that came from, or I don't know what got into me? One of your sub-personalities was activated and you were responding from it instead of staying true to the present moment and your authentic self. There is a Disney movie called Inside Out that perfectly illustrates this. The movie is about a girl named Riley and the emotions that live inside the headquarters of her mind: joy, sadness, disgust, anger, fear. Those are her sub-personalities, and when they all work together, they function great. But when one takes the lead or they aren't in unison, chaos ensues in the mind, and she acts in ways uncommon to her authentic self. So most people usually have several sub-personalities. This is natural and it is common. Everyone lives with these voices, but most don't take the time to understand them. The common response is, that's just who I am, or that's just how I was raised. But this is not a good enough response for us, right? So I'm gonna walk you through what he has us do. So this is an exercise for identifying your inner voices. So I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to make 4 columns, like vertical columns. You're gonna break it into 4 sections, okay? So in this exercise, you're gonna begin the process of separating yourself from each inner voice so that you can begin to shift your relationship with your past. In the first column, I want you to make a list of the voices that you hear in your head and give them a name. You can get creative with the name, or you can literally call it, you know, mom's voice or my inner child. So for example, a couple of the ones that I put as the voice type in the first column, I put the people pleaser. I put the abandoned child. And then I also, on the flip side of like the negative voices, I put a positive one that's like my free spirited, like inner warrior voice that comes out. And if you can't think of these on the fly, that's fine. Just like write out the top of the column so that you know what to go back to and work on. The inner critic is another one. That would be probably common for all of us. To give you a couple examples of voices, because he gives better ones than I do, but like the cheerleader, the coach, the hurt child, the perfectionist, the very responsible one, the organizer, the rebel, the mean parent, the controller, or the adventurer. Okay, now once you have a couple of these voices that you have identified, we're going to move on to the second column. And the second column, this is really eye-opening to do. My controller is a rager. Yeah. That my people pleaser is a rager. In this second column, you're going to write down the main message that you hear this voice say to you. So like it could be, I'm not good enough, or did you screw that up, or did I do something wrong? You should try harder. It's your fault. That's not good enough. Who do you think you are, right? And you're going to write things that pop up for you in your head all the time from this voice in that second column. So he gives some examples of, you're not smart enough to write a book. Make it perfect so people will like you. Do what you can to make life easier for everyone else. Some say they communicate it as this message coming from this voice is like a tight, tense, like stomach ache, or an urge to withdraw or isolate. So like it's almost that like fear-based feeling that comes up when you're about to do something uncomfortable or post something scary or send that invite to that person that you've been scared shitless to invite for like months now, right? That's when that voice pops up. Okay. I know that y'all can probably write for these for way longer, but you can finish them later. Just for the sake of time, I want to stay on track. So in the third column, and this was really interesting because this column for me really kind of identified like how this voice serves me, even if it's a negative voice, if that makes sense. So you're in the third column, you're going to write what the job description of this voice is. So if it's a negative voice, it might be that it's your controller or it's keeping you from feeling worthy. And if it's a positive one, it might be that it's like your coach or your supporter or your guardian or your best self, right? So that third category is going to be write the character's job description. So even it says, even the most critical and vicious voices inside you were originally created with your best interests in mind. A common job description is a protector. It might protect you from embarrassing yourself. It might protect you from feeling abandoned. We usually have one or two guardians that are protecting us, voices. Controllers and manipulators are other types of protectors. Okay, and then in the fourth column, hold on a moment. Okay, in the fourth column, you're gonna identify the strategy that the character employs to do its job. For example, the critic strategy may be criticize my performance, providing feedback so that I don't screw up again. So it might be like if you're sitting down to write something and you're like, I'm not really sure if this is written the best, right? Because it's like judging our performance to make sure that we don't screw up and embarrass ourselves. Does that make sense? It's like the action of the voice. Okay, so we can finish those later if you guys didn't get them all filled in. But the whole point of that exercise is to help us gain an awareness of these inner voices that are going on, this inner dialogue, so that you have awareness of these sub personalities, and how they play a role in your life and in your business. Yeah. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. It's all good. Okay, so lesson number 2 shifts a little bit into there's kind of like 2 exercises that are part of this. This is the one that shifts into becoming your most authentic self. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, I love this topic because I'm like, I feel like there are always like layers of ourselves that need to be like peeled back and like undone, and things we need to unlearn to become more authentic versions of ourselves, right? So this one says, let's start by closing your eyes, and I'm going to ask you a question. You don't actually have to close your eyes. But if you were being you, who would you be? And I love this like example that he gives so much, and he talked about this more in depth in the video, and like actually had us go through an exercise where you close your eyes and you imagine unzipping and taking off each jacket, like each kind of identity that you carry, like the mom, the wife, you know, the career, like unzipping these you know, titles that you have that you use to identify yourself, and removing those and then seeing what's left underneath when you take all of those off. And I was like like, who are we under that? I was like, I don't even know what to think right now. I gotta think about that one. So it says, before you answer this, I want you to imagine each title you have is like a jacket that you're wearing. One layer is mom, the next layer is spouse, then comes the third layer of daughter or son, and the list goes on. White woman or man, black woman or man, business owner, employee, volunteer, friend, mentor, teacher, coach, chauffeur, party planner, kid referee, disciplinarian, counselor. By now, you're probably just sweating thinking about all these layers of jackets that you're wearing every day and feeling the weight of all the titles that you have. So sit with that for a second. Yes, you love all the roles you play in your life. Some you may have chosen and some may have been given to you. But they all carry this weight with them. So now you go through the visualization of taking each one of these jackets off. One by one, you slip each arm out and let it drop to the floor, or set it on the chair if you're a clean freak. And after you take off the last jacket, how do you feel? Do you feel light, free? Who is left after removing all of the titles? Who is left? Who is left is you. The authentic you that has been buried under all of your titles, roles, and identities that you sometimes can't ever let shine through. So this lesson is about connecting with your authentic self and the greatness that makes you you. And so the first exercise, what he said, there's 3 steps to this. And he says the first one is forgiving yourself. The second one is loving yourself. And the third one is learning to receive, which I'm just going to go through this, this first assignment with you guys, or actually I might just tell you these because I feel like y'all can judge once I tell them to you, but they're kind of like, they're deep inner work. So maybe you'll want to sit down and like take your time to actually write them out. But the first one is identifying any areas or events of your past where you need to practice forgiveness. And this one was really powerful for me because I carry a lot of self-judgment and a lot of guilt over things that have happened in my life, even if they were not things that I caused. Does that make sense? So he has you write down 2 to 3 specific people, events, or experiences that you find yourself holding on to, beating yourself up for, holding resentment about, or holding fear around. So for example, I wrote down, losing my father was not my fault. Raising my son as a single mom was not my fault. And then once you identify these couple life experiences that you are holding on to anger about, or you're beating yourself up for each of those examples, you're going to look at them through the lens of love and your bigger purpose in your life. And you're going to write a short statement practicing forgiveness in that area. So for me, most of these in this category were all about, they were like, I forgive my so-and-so for this that happened, and I'm thankful for how it shaped me. Or I forgive myself for blank, and you fill that out. But like, this is a very freeing exercise, because sometimes I feel like we don't even really understand the emotional weight that we carry around past experiences that we just have not let go of yet. I would love to hear in the comments what you guys think so far about these, because I know it's deep. Are you still with me? Okay, so does anybody want me to repeat what those two things are so that you can go back and do them? Or you got them? You're good. Anybody? You're good? Okay. And now this assignment was actually really fun. This is more like less digging and more, I don't know, getting back to your authentic self was kind of how it felt for me. So for this assignment, and it literally was just like a blank page where you're going to write out a bunch of words. So you can just have like a blank notebook page. And it says, imagine that you are connecting with your younger self. And this is why I asked you to get a picture of yourself when you were younger. Like, I have a picture on my fridge that I'm looking at right now. And it's a picture of me at the cottage in Canada that my grandparents had when I was growing up. And I'm in this bathing suit, and I look like I'm like about to perform a dance move and like dive into the water. And I'm this little like happy-go-lucky, free-spirited tomboy, right? And like, then as you go through life and you experiences challenges and traumas and loss and grief and, you know, abuse and all these things that I've gone through in my life, I'm like, how do I get back to her? Like the her that was just like brave and bold, and like, who was I before the world and life happened to me, right? That's kind of what this exercise is. So it says, imagine, and this is like what Keith Callahan was talking about too, that inner child work. So imagine hugging yourself and holding your own hand. Ask your younger self if she or he needs or wants anything from you. And so I can share, if you guys want, an inner child meditation that I did, and I literally sobbed through the entire thing. Because it has you hug the younger version of yourself. Like you're the adult now and you're hugging the child version of yourself. And whatever process it happens to like walk you through, I kept saying to my younger self, like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Like all the things that happened to me were not my fault, right? So I'll post that in the team page if you want to do it. But this says, who would you be and how would you feel if you felt connected and safe enough to be you? With that level of awareness, love, and open mind, you can feel authentic and free. So from that place with an open heart and connected to the present moment, and I suggest that you like sit down with a cup of tea and put a candle on and like put on some high vibe music and like connect back to that younger version of you before life happened. And think about like, who was that version of you? Because you're going to write out a list of unique qualities that make you you. So when I did this, it felt awesome because I was like, I was quirky and I was a tomboy and I was adventurous and I was bold and I was not afraid to stand out from the crowd. And I was not afraid to stand up for what was right. I had a kind heart. I was a fast learner. I was very resilient. Like, so you're going to write out all these qualities of who you were before the world happened to you. Does that make sense? Are we good? Okay. Now, this is like the next step in the process, and it's called the detachment method. And I'm just going to try and sum this up for you, but essentially what you're going to be doing is over the next, let's say, week, you're going to keep a notebook with you, or even keep it in the notes section of your phone. But now that you've identified what those inner voices are, right, from that first exercise we did, the first step is having the awareness of when that comes up for you. So like when you sit down to work your business and that negative chatter pops up, or when you know you have to like make a uncomfortable call at work, or you have to have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody in your life, or whatever experience it is that you have where these voices show up for you, the key to this is starting to become more self-aware of when that voice shows up, instead of it just popping up and like running on this crazy tangent and like sending you into an emotional spiral, right? So it says you need to become aware when the voice is present and you are listening and operating from its direction. This is the tricky part, because the negative voice has been with you for so long, it might take longer for you to know when it's activated. Sometimes you may not even hear a voice, but you'll notice how you're feeling and that your emotions change. So think about the steps in the formula of transformation: circumstance, thought, feeling, result, and then action. And that actually comes from a Brooke Castillo podcast called The Model, which she's a life coach. So it says you may start in the middle with feeling and need to work yourself backwards to notice the thoughts you have and what triggered it all to begin with. So have you ever felt like all of a sudden you just got like instant anxiety and you're like, I don't even know like why I feel so anxious right now? Because we kind of skipped over the awareness of like maybe a text message triggered it, or like maybe somebody commented on something, or maybe something didn't happen and now you're overthinking about it. Like, we have to get back to the root of what triggered that emotion in the first place, to start identifying when that voice shows up for us. So here's an example. Perhaps you have a voice that says you're not smart enough, but it shows up as a tense feeling in your stomach. You may even recognize when you sit down to create a training for your team, or you want to go live on social media, that you feel very small. You feel as though you have nothing to say, and you notice a pit in your stomach. The feelings push you away from what you need to do and towards busy work, such as checking your email or responding to messages or looking at notifications to feel a false sense of accomplishment. You need to tune in and become aware of when this voice is active and participating in your life. It's really a matter of emotional intelligence, learning how to recognize, feel, and identify the different emotions you experience during the day. And once you are aware, then you're in the driver's seat. So the whole point of this exercise is literally keeping a notebook or keeping track in the note section of your phone over the next like week. If you feel anxious, or you feel fearful, or you feel triggered, or you feel unsafe, or you feel like you're being judged, whatever that is, or whatever that feeling is in your body, when that comes up for you, you're going to take note of it and you're going to bring awareness to it of like, what happened that triggered that thought, that triggered that feeling, that triggered this experience? Because when we start to have this detachment of it just being us and how we react to, this is an inner voice, an inner dialogue that's going on that's making me feel like that, then we're no longer like at the mercy of this stuff. Does that make sense? Okay. So it says between the stimulus and a response, there is space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. When you can begin to recognize the negative voices and what they are, the hurt child, the controller, the rebel, the parent, and separate them by saying, so write this quote down. Thank you for showing up and trying to protect me, but I got this. So thank you for showing up and trying to protect me, but I got this. And when we do this, then we can start to respond from that most authentic version of ourselves. So that's all that exercise is. It has you list out when these things come up for you, realize what you were doing, what someone said, or what you saw that made you feel the voice come active, then say thank you, but I've got this, and give that voice a name. It helps you understand that it's not really you, and in that moment, you consciously choose your response and to not react. Your response can be spoken words or it can be actions. I suggest you do this multiple times until you begin to see a pattern. And then the last exercise is really about the bounce back rate. So it's just, it's kind of, I'm going to try to explain this to you guys. So when you've had a failure in your business, right? And I'm bringing this one up because this is something that I literally took me like 2 years to finally get over. Like when you've had a massive failure in your business, right? And you're just like, maybe I'm not made for this. Maybe I'm not as good at leading people as I thought I would be. Or maybe I'm not capable of having the success I had before. Maybe I'm really not good enough. Right? Whatever those things are that come up for us, oftentimes what happens is we get stuck in the emotions and the feelings of it. So it's like regret and sadness and anger and frustration. And then it's like tanking our motivation. So then we're beating ourselves up because we're not taking the action that we know we want to be taking to get to the next level of goals. And so we perpetuate this feeling of like being stuck, right? Rather than just acknowledging what it actually came from and forgiving it and identifying the voice that's coming up and the experience that triggered it and moving through it. So this next step is all about learning how to just be with yourself so that you can bounce back when this happens faster, like when you get triggered, when you get emotional, and when you tend, because most of us tend to shut down, right? Like we want to go inwards. We want to shut the world out. We want to stop doing. And we think that we need to just sit in it to figure it out. But in reality, that keeps us from moving forward in our businesses and, in our journeys and in our growth, because we're at this constant, like, we're pushing, we're motivated, we're inspired, and then something happens and we're like drop back, and then we like work our way up to it again, and then like happens again. Like it's this constant back and forth versus when we have this awareness and we identify these things, how quickly can we start bouncing back from them so that it doesn't ruin our momentum and it doesn't ruin our progress, and like we can like blow past what we've ever done before, because we know how to work through the emotions that are the things that are actually keeping us stuck or from leveling up. So this next exercise, and we're obviously not going to do this together either, but it's find a picture of yourself at the age the voice was created and put it on your desk or in your workstation for you to see it every day. Seeing this picture does two things. It will be a constant reminder to check in with yourself and see if the voice is present in your mind, and it fuels you to fight for the person in the picture. Always remember that the person in the picture just wants to be seen, heard, and loved, and understand that that person is you. So like all these adult emotions we're feeling, all that is like the core want is that you want to be understood and you want to be loved and you want to be accepted, and you like, right? That's all it kind of comes down to, those core feelings. And then it suggests finding a partner that you can partner up with for this challenge. So if you guys are interested, like we could buddy up within the team, whoever actually like is doing this exercise and wants accountability to it, but someone that you can share these things with. So maybe it's your coach, maybe it's your success partner. If you don't have somebody, you can share them with me if you're comfortable. It doesn't really matter, but like, this is deep inner work, right? It's hard stuff to look at this stuff sometimes. It's hard to bring it up. It's hard to acknowledge it. Like, this is emotional process, or it is for, I would assume, all of us, but it definitely is for me. And sometimes you just need somebody to talk to about it. Like, Ashley and I talk about stuff like this all the time. I call her and I'm like, I'm triggered today. But like, you need somebody in your corner that you can talk to when you're like, I feel like I got triggered today, or I feel like this came up for me and I just need somebody to hold space to talk about it, right? Because then we can move through it more carefully.
Real quick, Dana.
Yep.
But also, when you have that person, always check in before you unload. Like, make sure their energy is ready for what, like, I always say, like, okay, I just want to let you know, I'm feeling really heavy. You got space for this?
Yep.
And then, like, you know, it's like that mutual respect, because like, if I don't, I'll be like, nah, boo, like, I'm having a really rough day too. Like,
Yep.
I love you. Talk to me like later in the day.
Or you'll text me and be like, can you talk right now? And I'm like, no, not right now. So yes, that's true. But finding yourself some kind of accountability in this, of somebody that you feel you can trust and talk to about this process as you start identifying it and working through the negative thoughts and limiting beliefs that have been holding you back. This will help you begin to get out of your past and no longer let it be something that holds you back, but instead something that gives you the foundation to create the future you want. And then the next one, I like this because I'm a meditator, but it says, no matter what you do what you have to do to make this happen, and commit for 30 days to at least 5 minutes of uninterrupted silence a day. So 5 minutes of total silence, like sitting with yourself, because I feel like we are so busy in life and we're always on our phones, or we've got the TV on, or the kids are running around, or we have, you know, people we're talking to. Like, there's very rarely in our day now time that we have to just be with ourselves. And like, be with yourself where you can actually like hear yourself think and talk, right? This practice combined with the other trainings will be so transformational for you. So that in a nutshell was the July, the whole July thing we went through. And this month, actually, the mission is building unshakable confidence. So as I go through that and those exercises, then we can kind of follow up, because I feel like it's the perfect follow-up from like digging up the stuff, identifying the voices, learning how to work through it, and then shifting into building that confidence. So I hope that was helpful. It was super helpful for me. And I feel like, I just feel like there are times where we get stuck in our lives and our business. And I have felt that way for like 2 years. And I'm like, it's often not that we don't know how to do the basics, or we don't know how to invite, or we don't know how to post, or all those things, right? Like, we can beat the vital behaviors into the ground over and over, and we can always improve, and they're always, you know, changing. But at its core, if we're feeling stuck, or like we're hitting a wall, or we can't get to the next level, it's probably the inner work we've got to do. And that's why I'm hell-bent on digging into that right now. So I hope that it's helpful for some of you. I would love to hear what you think about it. I'm reading your comments. That's a tough question, Seckley. I'm not really too sure. Living in a household of trauma. I don't know. I mean, my honest opinion on that would be to talk to a therapist about it. Cause I also, I mean, I've been seeing a therapist for quite a few months now, and I talk to her about a lot of this stuff, and that's very helpful for me. But there is no shame in, some of us need some more help into digging into those things, especially if we've had traumatic experiences in life. Because I feel like some of that stuff is really hard to dig into on your own. And I can relate in the sense that there are things that you just don't remember, because I have parts of my life that I feel like I've blocked out like that as well. So I would personally suggest talking to a therapist about that if you don't have memories.
I have personally, like, yes, I've been going to therapy, God, since 2014. But also what actually helped me unlock a lot of my memories, because like a lot of the things that happened with Oliver in the hospital, like I didn't remember. Like Trevor, like my husband would remember it, but like your mind will protect you from like trauma, right? Like that's just your mind protecting you, being like, no, you don't need that right now. But what I did was I worked with an energy healer, and you pretty much lay down, and like it's heavy and it's hard and it's deep. But she literally had me walk through everything that I remembered, and you're kind of like in this meditative, like half conscious, half not, like where you are in your room, but like your eyes are shut and everything. And I'd walk through, and it was probably like 45 minutes of me just talking and spewing and spewing. And then I was like, oh my God. And then that's when this happened. And then I would just like bawl and let it out. But like literally that was probably one of the biggest releases I've ever had. So like talk to a therapist if you're crunchy enough and you're ready to do it. Go get an energy healer, because just if you're ready to unlock it and your brain is kind of getting in the way, they can really help too.
I would agree with that. I'm all about Reiki and acupuncture and all those things, but I definitely would suggest a therapist for sure.
But yeah, therapy first. I mean, obviously, Steph, yeah. like I said, I went to therapy since 2014, and this just happened last year. So you got to really like work on what you do remember first and work through that, and then worry about everything else after.
And that was Stephanie's opinion as a psychologist. If it's significant trauma, it has to be worked through with the right support. Does anybody else have any other questions? Did you guys like this exercise? You're not too sure yet? Whitney, I see you taking a deep breath over there. It's a lot.
Maybe we should have planned like a meditation after. We kind of like let all that go.
It's good stuff.
Do meditation before you go to bed.
Well,
It'll
this
relax
is the
you.
good
You'll be
part.
fine.
Now you have the outline of the exercises, and you can do it at your own pace. And if you're not ready for it, then take your time. But when you feel like you are
wrote
ready,
a lot of angry things, so I need to, I think, figure that out.
Did you realize that before, or that's new? It's
I felt it as it was happening. No, it's things that I knew, things that have been coming up recently with all of this fertility stuff. Yep. But this is good. Good timing.
Great timing. Alrighty. Well, I guess we will see y'all next week is our Meet the Team event. If you guys did not see the Difference Maker Movement call in the Slay Squad meeting room, so if you're not in there, especially if you're a new coach, we can link it in the team page. It's called the Slay Squad meeting room, and that's where they do the live calls on Mondays. So like you don't have to hunt down a recording. But Holly Hillier did a call on Monday night about sharing the coaching opportunity, and Holly is a top 10 coach. She's phenomenal at sharing about coaching, and not, I don't know how to say it, not in a way where it's like most posts are like health, fitness, nutrition, whatever. And then these like long, posts that share everything that coaching has ever done for you, which I can say I've totally been guilty of. She has a really amazing way of kind of tying little tidbits of coaching into her posts almost every single day, and tying little tidbits about coaching into her stories. So when she's reading personal development, she's kind of relating that to who her ideal future coach would be and how it would connect to them, or how she would serve them as a leader, right? But she had a lot of really great tips. I think she had 5 tips about how to share coaching more frequently, so that you always have eyes on it. And that way, when you, Secily, I can add you, or I'll share it in the team page.
Dana, it's Cecily.
Cecily.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, I hope I'm saying that right, but no, I'm not. Sorry. So she had 5 tips of how to share coaching more frequently. Cause sometimes we only make a post about coaching when a Meet the Team event is coming up, or like you only ever talk about it in your stories when we have an event to invite to, right? But the whole thing is, if you want to find more coaches like us that want to be part of this amazing opportunity, that we need to share about that more frequently, and we need to stay really connected to not just what it has done for our lives, but what it can do for them. And also where you're going and what you're building is something she talks about a lot, so that people connect to that. But if you missed that call, I would highly suggest finding some time this week to go back and watch it. And start applying those things. So our Meet the Team events are incredible. We just we need to have more people hopping on them, and that's so collectively all of us. Let's start inviting to that now, so that we can have a bunch of beautiful faces hearing our stories and learning about coaching next week. And we'll see you next week. Bye, ladies. Did anybody take a boomerang? I hope somebody did. I see a yes.
I took a picture.
Okay.
Annalise did one before she left.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, sneaky little minx.
Just making sure. All right. Good night, ladies.